We're going to call to order the April 7th, 2016 meeting of the Ascension Parish Council. Right now, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the invocation given by Ken Dawson, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for all the blessings you bestowed upon us, for all the grace you continue to give us. And as we come tonight, we mourn the loss of one of our own, Garnet Gautreaux, one who worked for the parish for such a long time, committing his life to the service of the people of Ascension. We ask that you bless his family, that you watch over them and keep them during this time. We also pray for Bobby Foster, and his family. We pray, Lord God, during the loss of Bobby, that you would minister to his family, to all of those who knew him, and to all those that he touched. As we come tonight, we ask for your wisdom in doing the people's business. We don't take this duty lightly, but Father, we pray that you would guide us in every way to make the decision that would benefit Ascension Parish. We ask these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that all council persons here except Councilman Turner, and he is, I think, on his way. Tonight, there'll be no chair's additions. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please sign in with the secretary, and you'll be given the chance to speak when that item comes up. We'll move into the presentations. First, we have proclamation, April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Ms. Erin Meir, Parish President.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here to share with you all a little bit about Child Abuse Prevention Month in our community, Child Advocacy Services efforts to raise awareness of child abuse and neglect and why it matters. In March, Child Advocacy Services served 70 children with a court-appointed special advocate. These are volunteers who lend their voices to children who have been silenced by abuse or neglect, and there are more still waiting. Last year, 27 children in the 23rd JDC were adopted into permanent and loving homes, and there are more that are still waiting as well. On April 16th, we will host our 6th annual Blue Run at Gonzales City Hall. And this event, it helps us to raise awareness, which is highly needed, but also to celebrate the work that our outstanding CASA volunteers do, that our community partners, they donate their time, they donate their resources to make the work that we do possible. Our local governments have been so supportive in all of the work that we do, and we are very grateful for that year after year. So I envision a world where no children are ever abused or neglected. There's no reason for it. And with one child and one caring adult, and that's how this crazy vision that I have could become a reality. And we've made so much difference to children already, and together we can keep doing that. So I thank you all again for having me. And I thank you for making sure that April matters to abused and neglected children, because it really does. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you so much, and I know that this is near and dear to every one of our hearts, and it's such an important month that we proclaim April as a month for prevention.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. I just want to remind everybody with the work that your organization does, that within the court system and with juveniles and children and from several other places, there's opportunities for parents to take in children, sometimes short term, sometimes help out. And so if you seek it out, there's some opportunity out there to help children that just don't have the love or don't have the home to go to, don't have the parents to raise them. Thank you, ma'am. We'll move along to agenda item on the woman in your health and wellness seminar. Tamika Stroud.
Mr. Chairman, she did text me and say she was on her way, but I don't see her. She is on her way.
Yes. Okay. Then we'll move along to the next presentation. International Biddy Basketball Champions, Downsville Biddy Basketball Girls 9-year-old team. Head coach Travis Joseph. Joseph? Come on up, sir.
Okay, Mr. Joseph, this is recognition for what y'all have done. The girls came out first place in the International Biddy Girls, and you want to say a few words before we give these out to you too?
On behalf of the Downsville 10-year-old girls, I would like to thank Ms. Hodges, Mr. Oliver, all the support. My parents, number one, for following us every weekend, dedicating time, money, and effort. My coaches, and last but not least, the girls for all their hard work, for sticking with it when times were hard. So, congratulations.
We can call the girls up now.
First off on the list, we have Ronjanae Adams. Ronjanae is in the record books of Biddy, Miss Biddy, and Miss Biddy All-American, Ronjanae Adams. We have Caitlin Brooks, Katie. Maya Brown. Maya. Michelle Dago. Layla Esther. Wild Child. Makia Jackson. Caitlin Joseph. Okay. Tia Joseph. Camion Link. Charlie Lake. Johnny Southall. Johnny is in the Biddy Book of Records, Biddy All-American. Jelly Walker. Jelly also in the Biddy Book of Records, Biddy All-American. There you have it, your 2016 girls 10-year-old Biddy National Champions.
Hey, girls, if y'all could move to the middle, we'll try to get a shot of everybody. Parents, we welcome you to come up and take pictures.
Come on up in the middle here so we can.
All right, gee. Next, we
Appreciate
have
all the hard work the coaches and the parents done with these kids, and they did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the International Biddy Basketball Champions Donaldsonville Boys 9-year-old Biddy basketball team.
Coach
And that would be
Darrell.
head coach Travis Joseph. I apologize, Darrell Honoris. All right, Darrell.
The boys Biddy basketball came out second in the international. Did a great job. Coach, you with you, Darrell? Okay. Say a few words.
First off, we'd like to thank all our parents, the players, the city of Donaldsonville, and most of all, I'd like to thank God that everything went fine, nobody got hurt. We came back, we came out second, but it was all right. We'll do better next year. First up is Zaquan Ackley. Second, we have Jakai Allen. Third, we have Ja'Cory Mitchell. Next up, we have Travis Johnson. Next up, Ryan Otis. Next, we have Rashad Schomburg. Next up, Jaron Wiggins. Next we have, he's not here, but Michael Gomez. Next, we have All-American Kobe Green. And last but not least, Mr. Biddy, Mr. All-American Robert Kent.
Yay!
Okay, we'd like to take a picture, council.
Hey, guys, if y'all move into the middle, we're gonna try to make sure everybody's in the shot. All right, next we'll have a presentation from Tamika Stroud, The Woman in You, Health and Wellness Seminar.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm
How you doing?
Tamika Garrison, and I'm here to invite the parish council and the entire parish to a health fair. It's called The Woman in You. And I'm here in place of our president, Hollis Baker Graves, who regrets that she couldn't be here today. But in 2013, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease and end-stage renal failure. After multiple surgeries, several tests, dialysis, I endured a lot. In 2014, my brother, Bernard Francis Jr., donated a kidney. During my recovery, I thought about putting together a seminar and workshop. In 2014, it came to life. I found a group of ladies who were experienced in some of the challenges and issues that I had throughout my dialysis, throughout my recovery. So I put together this group, and they're going to talk about spirituality, finance, nutrition, depression, hair and beauty, loving yourself, and music therapy. In addition to the lecture, I have two performances, a gospel choir and the Michael Foster Project, who are going to do arts in medicine. I've partnered with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Ascension Alumni Chapter we actually chartered last year, and Louisiana Healthcare Connections, and also AmeriHealth Caritas. We have several vendors, exhibitors that are going to be there. It's actually Saturday, April 9th. Doors open at 9:30, and it's at the Lamar Dixon. And we want to invite you guys to make an appearance if you'd like to. We'll be there until 3:30. And thank you very much for having me. Any questions?
Thank you very much for what you do.
Oh, thank you.
And-
I appreciate it.
And being a survivor, you have the real reality of it. So
Oh, yes.
you're the right person to lead that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We'll move on to the parish president's report. Parish President Matassa.
Gentlemen, I want to tell you on the Astroland project, we're about 60% complete. I authorized them to work this weekend to try to beat the rain. The pumps are on order, and so it ought to coincide with the finishing of the project. It ought to be finished in about 2 weeks. Our legal counsel has been reviewing the purchase agreement with People Water Service. Of course, major issues remain regarding People's Water. So all of the action regarding this purchase is pending upon legal counsel in resolving of the issues. I have been getting calls about the taxes that Ascension Parish and how much money we get and everything. And the other night, y'all made a presentation by Ms. Grant LeBron from the Finance Department. that said, we collect, $127,101,712. That is a lot of money. But the actual money that the parish gets in the general fund that is not dedicated is 3.1 million. And as y'all saw in the pie chart that y'all still have, I just wanted the public to realize all the rest of the money is dedicated, and the pie chart shows where we're at. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Kenny. And just a quick note on that, if we can get that on Channel 21 or get it up on our website, it may already be there. I mean, I didn't.
We will, and we were gonna put it on the camera thing, but I told them too late where they couldn't bring the deal. Okay.
I mean, that would be very enlightening to
Sure.
people that haven't seen it. Any questions for the parish president? Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll move on to agenda item number 7. The chair would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion by Mr. Todd Lambert. Second by Mr. Cagnalotti. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on into general business. Notice of consideration of action regarding ad valorem tax. Notice is hereby given that Road Lighting District Number 7 of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, will meet on Thursday, May 19, 2016 at 6 p.m. in the council meeting room, Courthouse Annex 828 South Irma Boulevard, 2nd floor, Gonzales, Louisiana, at which time there will be a consideration of action regarding the calling of an election to authorize the renewal of levy and collection of an ad valorem tax dedicated to acquiring, improving, and equipping the systems of road lightings on the streets, roads, highways, alleys, and public places of the district, and providing funds to pay the operation and maintenance costs and expenses in connection therewith. I don't think we need any further action on that.
you don't need a motion.
So just basically a notice. So we'll move on to agenda item number 9, approval of the parish president's appointment of 3 members of the Planning Commission Appeals Board. Parish President Matassa.
Council, I have 3 names for you. Mr. Jimmy Russo, who lives on the West Bank. He is Assistant Supervisor of Probation and Paroles. He lives in Donaldsonville. Mr. Fritz Englide is a businessman from Gonzales. And Mr. Ken Furman is another businessman from Gonzales. That's my 3 names.
And I think Fritz was a prior member, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I make the motion to accept the president.
We have a motion by Mr. Joseph to accept the nominees, the appointments, and second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Lawler.
I just wanted to state for the record, though, that this is necessary because the Brookstone subdivision. That
Right.
if we do not approve these individuals, the Brookstone subdivision will automatically, the rejection of it will automatically be rejected.
According to law.
And there will be a
It'll
rebuild.
revert
Yes,
back.
sir.
It will revert back, yes. So we have to. If we don't approve these individuals, this subdivision has every chance of automatically being approved against the public's wishes. So this is the only way that we can, I guess, go with the public's wish on this.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And this is a board that has to be manned anyway. And this is business that the parish president had to take care of, so he did. Any objection? Any further discussion? Motion passes. We'll move on to public hearing of ordinances. Agenda item number 10. Reading of ordinance to amend the Chapter 19 of the Ascension Parish Code to impose transportation impact fees. It is my understanding that it does not have to be read in full in this.
It does.
But I have a couple speakers.
got a question for legal.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, do you have to read the ordinance that we have an amendment to the whole ordinance?
If you are going to, if you want me, I understand there's gonna be amendment, and I think the amendment needs to be made to substitute the motion before I read it. Otherwise, I've gotta read the whole old ordinance, and then we've gotta file a motion to amend it.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes,
Okay, so,
Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend by substituting for the previously introduced transportation impact fee ordinance, the written ordinance in the hands of Mr. Parrington and handed out to all council members.
Second that.
I also move that the substitute ordinance be considered as a whole.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Dawson.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Mr. Lawler. Before we go on, are you planning on reading that?
I need to read that if you accept the amendment.
I accept the amendment.
Well, no, please. Yes.
You want to go for a vote?
We're gonna move, we need to vote on the,
Okay, well, let's go. with the
consider
vote.
as a whole first.
Okay,
That's not
All right.
approving it, that's just considering it.
we have a motion on the floor to consider as a whole. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any opposition? That motion passes.
Now I'll read the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Purpose is to amend Chapter 19 Roads, Bridges, and Other Public Ways to add Article 4, Transportation Impact Fee of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Whereas the parish of Ascension continues to be one of the fastest growing parishes within the state of Louisiana. Whereas this rapid growth has negatively impacted the capacity of transportation network within Ascension Parish. Whereas it desire the citizens of Ascension Parish to provide adequate roadway capacity as one component of the quality of life enjoyed by the citizens of the parish. And whereas the parish of Ascension has determined it is in the best interest of the citizens of Ascension Parish to establish transportation impact fees to assist in the mitigation of transportation impact of the rapid growth of the transportation network within Ascension Parish. Whereas on July 22nd, 2005, Duncan and Associates completed a transportation impact fee study for Ascension Parish, Louisiana, with a correction, table 21 to that study on May 8, 2006. Whereas the above study was a consumption-based model which proposes to change the new development cost of replacing the capacity that it consumes on the major roadway system, and whereas now Ascension Parish desires to implement a transportation impact fee that is based on the above study. Now therefore be it ordained, the Ascension Parish governing authority of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, Chapter 19, Article 4, Transportation Impact Fee, be added as further described as Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof. In the event any portion of this ordinance or subsection, sentence, clause, phrase, or portion of this ordinance is for any reason held invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent or state agency over competent jurisdiction, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions, and such holdings shall not affect the validity of remaining portions of the law. The effective date of this ordinance shall be as follows, as permitted by law. The attachment is Exhibit A. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to open public hearing.
So motion to open public hearing by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Satterley. We'll open public hearing. I have speakers. Mr. Kenneth Mayor.
Good evening, how y'all doing? Some of y'all know me, some of y'all don't. A few years ago, I had to deal with the council, had to deal with planning and zoning, had to deal with administration on Keystone and Galvez in my neighborhood. And it started off as a subdivision with 300 houses and ended up with, I don't know, 800 or so now. And I think with the traffic situation like it is now, I think impact fees are something that's been long overdue. My question is, with legal issue, illegal, is it going to be legal to do what we're doing? I mean, you know, are we just wasting our time here? You know, it seems like everything was kind of rushed into, and that's just something that I just had a real big question about, because you know everybody wants to live here now, but there will become a time when people won't want to live here probably, And if we don't get a handle on this transportation and other issues too, I mean, you know, we're gonna see a decline. And I don't wanna see a decline. I've been living here all my life. I was born and raised up in Modesto. And, you know, my family still lives up there. And, I mean, it just, we just got to get something going with these growing pains that we got. And I think this is one step, because face it, the state has no money, so we have to do something. And I thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Council. Mr. Perrington, is this legal?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, sir.
It's illegal as per the Attorney General. In fact, an opinion regarding Ascension Parish in 2015, it said they were legal.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Bart Waxback.
How y'all doing? I'm Bart Wagasback. I'm a builder in Ascension Parish. I live in Ascension Parish. I've lived in Ascension Parish for about 40 years now. I know we're talking about sewer impact fees, but there's some other fees that are beginning to be charged that's going to affect new home ownership also. The sewer impact fees are a total of $2,500. That everybody knows this is going to eventually get passed on to the consumer. So if you have this $2,500 impact fee plus, you know, I know it's a scale, but you know, $1,700 to $2,000 impact fee, you're talking, you know, you're pushing $4,500 a new home on this impact fee. When I was at one of the previous meetings, most spoke of the new people moving into the parish and that, you know, they need to pay a fee to enjoy everything that we have in Ascension Parish. But I want to point out that there are a lot of people that are already in Ascension Parish that are just moving and staying in Ascension Parish. Me being one of them, I build a new house every so many years. I mean, do I need to pay an impact fee for my traffic impact every time I build a house? My daughter, we're just starting her a house. She's 22 years old. She's lived in Ascension Parish her entire life. She's not going to impact the traffic any more than she did before. So I just feel like imposing an impact fee and focusing only on lots, thinking that it's just new people moving into the subdivision, that it's not as fair as maybe going a different route as far as a sales tax increase or a property tax increase or maybe a changing of the way the millage of the property tax is broken down, then that would affect everyone in Ascension Parish that all use the roads. I understand that people that have been in Ascension Parish and lived in the same place forever see a little more traffic in front of their yard, but I would also say that they get the luxury of enjoying the better schools we have in Ascension Parish, the new schools, restaurants that have moved in. There's a lot of things to do in Ascension Parish now. I mean, we have a movie theater, a bowling alley, a Cabela's, a lot of restaurants, outlet mall. All of that's there because of new construction. And I feel like this impact fee is just punishing new construction, new people moving to the parish whenever they're contributing more than anyone else to the sales taxes that are paid, to the property taxes that they pay for their houses. If you take a comparison of someone who's lived on their 5-acre piece of land for the last 20 years, I'd venture to say their property tax may be under $1,000 a year. You take that same 5-acre tract and, you know, put 10, 15 new houses on it, you know, each one of those houses are going to be paying a couple $1,000s a piece. So new construction is bringing a lot of money to the parish that the parish is being able to use right now. The parish needs to figure out a way to spend that money better. Because new construction and new people coming in are bringing the money, and they're paying more than their share. So I'd just like to see the parish allot that money appropriately.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you. Appreciate it, Bart. Next, we have Mr. Steve Anderson.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
I had a bunch of notes, but after you start listening to different people talk, everything changes a little bit. I want y'all to know that I do have a dog in this fight, or this hunt, I guess, however you want to say it. And that dog is my business and my clients, my friends, my family. My son has just got to the point to where he's ready to build a house. He's lived in Ascension Parish his whole life. He's 34, 35, with the exception of going to Iraq and Afghanistan. He's been here the whole time, and so have I. I've been here 30 years, my wife as well. In 2010, we opened our own real estate office, and probably one of the worst times ever. Some people, I don't know who owns the business up here, but until you've been there and you're down to your last nickel, and you're really relying on your clients and your service and your word to make this thing work. I've got employees, that depend on us. I've got builders. I represent some developers. We've got good people out here. We just came out of one of the largest economic downturns, that we've seen in this parish. We're just now coming out of it. And all of a sudden, we're going to say, whoop, stop. There's an article, and I was going to read it, that talks about the moratorium. It also talks about the impact fees. And it talks about what needs to be done. And it was written 10 years ago, 2006. We don't have enough staff to take care of the problems. Look, I'm so glad that, Lance and Laverne are here. I'll make a public comment. You lost one of the best people that you lost with Ricky. He's got it, and I'd always agree, the man's got knowledge, and for whatever reason that is. So, we need to think long and hard about, it's almost a double tax. Like he said, these people lived here, they're going to build a house. They're paying taxes. We're going to tax them again. And you can say it's going to be paid by Bart, but Bart's going to have to buy the property cheaper. And when Bart buys the property cheaper, the guy selling it has got to sell it cheaper. It's not worth as much. I love roads. I hate traffic. But I've been all over the United States, been all over the world. I've never seen anybody say, Steve, man, our traffic is awesome. We don't have any traffic problems. We got the best traffic in the world. And I don't care if you pave these roads with gold and make a roundabout on every intersection and double every lane. People are still going to complain about traffic. And is that time? Sorry, thank y'all for listening.
Thank you very much. Next we have Mr. Roy Domain.
Good afternoon, Councilman. We appreciate your time. As these other folks have shared, our residences and businesses have seen a big increase in the cost to build and develop their properties over the past few years due to some serious increased requirements created in the development code. I submit there are ways that the code can be reworked to allow for a finished product that is desired by many with less expense, thus to the end consumer. As I just informed one of my owners that we're currently working with, that the new impact fee, which is proposed, is going to be listed as a line item in their budget. They said, wow, we've lived in a mobile home for 23 years. We just sold it, moved in with his mom. Now we're going to build on the same land. Why are we going to pay an impact fee? I'm going to be paying more taxes on the new home because it could be reassessed at a higher value, and I'll be paying more then. I see a lot of new homes being built by existing residences who already live here. I've been honored to build second times for folks, been able to build for folks' children. That's an honor. But at the same time, they're here, they're not obtaining any more, they're just working within the parish. We, just like you, as citizens, pay a large amount for property and sales taxes. I'm very disappointed, as you are, that when you see the way the taxes are distributed, there needs to be a redistribution of what is taken in. There is much in some accounts and not enough to improve what we're here asking for, and that is better roads and a sewer system that would help to incorporate this parish. We know that the school boards, drainage departments, sheriff's office, library board, they've got a fat account. They've got plush money. But I submit this idea. Let's put a plan together to rally what is needed, go back to the citizens and ask them for a vote, saying this is where your money goes, this is where we would like to redistribute it, and see what the people say. I submit that a lot of citizens aren't aware of what's getting ready to hit them and the costs, okay? As they said, a typical 2,400 square foot home, we're going to be pushing another $4,400 of cost into their budget. That's like buying windows. That's like buying the granite. It's just another line item of cost which is passed on to the consumer. Can your children, grandchildren afford that right now to build it? If they didn't have it proposed in their budget, if they've already been to the mortgage company to get approved? Can your business friends already in place going forward over the next 6 to 9 months, even a year? They've got projects in the works. Can they afford to add these fees to their current project? Will the mortgage company allow this additional expense? I submit that if the fee has to be imposed, as she's currently written, I submit that it needs to be staged and not just jammed at one time because of the additional costs. I think that would be fair. Is that the buzzer? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Roy. We have a speaker, Mr. Brian Oakwell.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name's Brian Oakwell with Meridian Homes. I just wanted to hit on the fact that, keep in mind that this is going to hurt a lot of first-time home buyers. I understand we have to do something. I understand the traffic. We gotta do something. But, it seems like we're just jumping on this new construction. Let's get it done. But I mean, we really need to stop and think about this. And I agree with Mr. Roy said. The public has no idea about this. Everybody I talk to is like, huh? Nobody knows about this. Think about the new homeowners that's buying a $180,000 house. You add $4,300 to that. That's a pretty big percentage on a small house for a young couple just getting started with a baby. I'm working with a young guy on a house, an expensive house. We had to cut out the fireplace so he can afford it. I hate to do it, but it's the only way he can afford it. So you add $4,500 to this guy, what are we talking about? It seemed like new construction is the easiest target, and I really wish that, like Mr. Roy said, let's kind of look around at some other things and bring the public into it, make it a bigger discussion in the parish, get it on the news, and say let's discuss this and get some good brains together and see what we can do. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Next we have Mr. Billy Aguilar.
Good afternoon, Billy Aguilar. May I get a clarification from Mr. O'Neill? Or is this a public hearing on the original ordinance as it was presented, or is this a public hearing on the substitute ordinance?
The ordinance is amended.
You didn't read the amended ordinance. What did
Yes,
the
he
amended?
did. He read the amended ordinance.
You read the amended ordinance?
Yes.
But you didn't read the table. What was the table that
That's
was?
the attachment.
That's part of the ordinance.
That does not have to be read. An attachment does not have to be read.
Okay. Was that amended ordinance posted on the public notice before this meeting for the proper time?
The original ordinance was posted, and that's proper. It was amended, just like any other ordinance that's amended.
Okay, but it can't be amended without public notice.
It can be amended. The notice of the ordinance was introduced, and then it was amended.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Appreciate that. I just want to know what what we're speaking about. I still would like to know what the tables read in the amended ordinance. In Mr. O'Neill's presentation a couple of weeks ago, he did say that from Attorney General's office that this fee is called a fee. But he also said that there was a court case in West Billings Parish that said it was a tax. So the quote from this, that was you quoted that. It was a tax, and they said they couldn't pass the impact fees because it was a tax. So they turned it down.
I'll explain it.
Okay. Anyway, I would challenge you that, whatever it is, if it's a fee, tax, it really doesn't matter. When you write a check to the government, it's a tax to me. What I would challenge you to do here is if you think everybody wants this, put it on the ballot. Let the people vote for it. Simple as that. If the people want it, they'll vote for it. If they don't, they won't. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Motion to close? Motion by Mr. Turner to close, second by Mr. Cagney. Close. All right.
Motion to accept the,
Oh, it's not a motion.
We already had a motion and a second.
Got a motion to approve the
Amended ordinance.
Amended ordinance, okay, second.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second on that. Is that correct, O'Neill?
Yes, you had a
In
motion.
there.
You had a motion, yes.
There you go. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Dawson.
I just wanted to take a minute and, talk about some of the points of the ordinance as it's written. As Mr. Aguilar, it's the same table as was in the 2005-2006 Duncan recommendation. There's also a provision in the ordinance that will be updated within the first 6 months. So if you talk about phasing in, it's going to be phased in at the 2005-2006 levels. Within the first 6 months, the study will be repeated or be updated, and then the fees will be updated. They'll come back before the council and to be updated based on what the study is. It also calls for the study to be updated at least every 5 years. There's one assessment district, which is the entire parish, and that's based on the major roadway system. There are 3 benefit districts, which is where the money is collected and where the money is spent. So generally speaking, you have North, East Ascension, Southeast Ascension, and West Ascension. Those are the 3 districts. If the money is not spent in 8 years, then it's returned to the current landowner. The ordinance is based on the trigger event of a building permit. There is no grace period, so any building permits after the enactment of the ordinance will be subject to it. Public facilities are included in the ordinance, so there are no exceptions for any impact-generating facilities. And the projected annual revenue would be about $2 million based on Duncan's study. So.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I rise to support impact fees, and I would like to tell you why. I don't think it's any secret that anyone sitting up here tonight has not been inundated in the last several weeks leading up to tonight from special interest groups, builders, real estate agents, and so forth. And quite frankly, that's understandable and admirable. I mean, anybody would fight for their livelihood. However, that said, I think we're a community, and the risk of using a worn-out cliche, we're all in this together. I would like to cite 2 different things as to why I personally support impact fees. One is the American Planning Association. That group publishes a policy guide on impact fees, and I refer to the 1997 edition. They say in there, quote, "There has been little to demonstrate that the imposition of impact fee systems have stifled development." And that's a spokesperson group for planners all across America. In fact, by 1997, that same group, the American Planning Association, said this, quote, "Approximately half of the states in the United States of America have already enacted enabling legislation." We've heard Mr. Perkins speak about that. So it makes our jobs easier at a local government authority level. Enabling state legislation for impact fees. I'm willing to bet tonight that that number is much, much higher, because after all, 97 is what, 19, 20 years ago? And I'll go a bit further. I pledge tonight that I plan to work with our state legislators to encourage impact fee enabling bills in the state of Louisiana. Not just because everybody's doing it, but because, ladies and gentlemen, it's working. So let me elaborate. In the American Planning Association manual, in their policy guide on impact fees, you will find 6 or 7 policy statements. I refer to 2 of them tonight. Policy number 1, the National APA, American Planning Association, and its chapters, quote, support state enabling legislation that establishes clear and concise standards for the adoption and use of impact fees. Policy number 3, the National APA and its chapters, quote, support the use of impact fees as, and here's a key word, standardized method for ensuring that new development pays its, another key word, fair share of the cost of public infrastructure. Now, if we look, and I can't help but do this, I'm a retired professor from LSU. I'm a scientist. I'll always be a scientist. At NACO this year, my colleagues and I listened to the National Science Foundation keynote speaker talk about the wonderful things that the NSF has done in funding grants. I have to admit, I was never lucky enough to get one. But trust me, they've done some things like Velcro and stuff like you just wouldn't believe. 93% rejection rate, by the way. Well, they supported 2 professors, one from UT Austin, Dr. Jong, one from Florida State, Dr. Fiat, who did an impact fee growth management and development study entitled A Contractual Approach to Local Policy and Governments, published in 2006 in the Urban Affairs Review. It's a peer-reviewed journal. And they found the following, and I'll be finished in a moment, Mr. Chairman. The article explored the economic consequences of impact fees on local economic development and job growth in the state of Florida. The authors focused on the implied contractual relationship between local government authorities and the development community, builders, real estate agents, so forth, in shaping patterns of economic growth in the various communities studied. How many did they study? Well, they used pool time series cross-section analyses to estimate these economic consequences of the impact fees in 66 Florida counties from over a 10-year period, 1991 to 2001. What did they find? One sentence only. Contrary to the conventional wisdom, which I think we've heard tonight in the public speaking comment period, the conventional wisdom that impact fees increase development costs and impede economic development, the authors reported that implementation of impact fee systems actually does the opposite, enhances economic performance and leads to job growth. Now, in my committee, Strategic Planning Committee, and so forth, we've been talking a little bit about this, and the moratorium that's coming up next, which I believe is going to be a moot point because it was being talked about as something we may need while we develop impact fees, and I'm pleased to see we're able to do it pretty quickly. But the media's covered this a lot. The public has been informed, so I disagree with that position. But Mr. Bice of Tischler & Bice called me, and what did he say? They're the leading firm, he told me, in the United States of America doing impact fee studies. They have done 900 impact fee studies nationwide for both municipalities and counties. Folks that move to Ascension Parish, Mr. Bice told me, are moving there because of the good schools. No one debates that. But he asked me, if the roads, the sewer, the drainage, the other vital infrastructure pieces, which we haven't even mentioned tonight, do not keep up, this influx, I think we had one speaker in opposition, will certainly stop. I believe that gentleman is right. With impact fees to cover all the vital infrastructure pieces, explosive growth will actually, Mr. Bice said, continue much, much longer instead of hitting, no pun intended, a brick wall, abruptly stopping when things get so unbearable that people in the parish of Ascension vote with their feet. I won't name a name, but a builder spoke momentarily ago, and this is upsetting to me. In the past, in front of my committee and others, I'm not against impact fees, but tonight spoke clearly that he is against them. And the same individual said, you know, why don't we spend some time? Why don't we alert the public? Well, I think the public needs to know that individual was on an impact fee exploratory subcommittee that met for 2 years to develop the ordinance we're to tonight. So I think the public has had involvement. All of these meetings were advertised. This meeting's advertised. We don't break law in Ascension Parish. but we do make it. And I feel compelled tonight to support impact fees, and I thank everyone for listening.
Thank you, sir. Any other speakers? Mr. Lawler.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, I support impact fees. I have for a while. Back in 2013, October 3rd, there was a meeting, and at that meeting, at the council meeting, they talked about changing the way subdivisions are built, sidewalks and trees. At that time, people spoke, and they said it would, quote, increase the cost of lots drastically, quote, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a lot. They also said homeowners' dues would go up to $2,000 to $2,500 per household. Said if we do that, which happened in 2013, we're not going to have low-income housing. That was one of the fears. We'll only have high-income housing, I guess was the fear. He said it was not feasible, it's not economical. In fact, one person said he was opposed to the sidewalks and the trees. Well, that passed in 2013. And since 2013, home sales have continued to increase. They increased through 2014, through 2015, and they're still increasing. The point is that we've cried chicken before about it's going to increase costs and home sales are going to stop. We've already had that experiment. They didn't stop. In fact, and that was based on Baton Rouge Business Report. You can go look it up. Incredibly, average home prices also increased, yet we're still selling more homes. From 2013 to 2014, there was an increase of population by 2.3%. The reason I'm saying this is we've heard a lot of talk about the people in the parish. They're just staying here and they're moving around. That's not accurate. We were the 89th fastest growing county in the nation. There are, I dare say, hundreds, maybe even thousands of counties in the nation, and we were the 89th fastest growing from 2013 to 2014. From 2014 to 2015, we saw a 2.1% growth in our population. We are continuing to grow. We need to do this. This is the right thing to do. I'm all for it.
Thank you, sir. Any other speakers? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Councilman, we need a roll call because you need 2/3.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Joseph.
Wake up.
Yes.
Councilman Dawson.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Caganalotti.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
The yeas have it. We'll move on to agenda item number 13. Reading of ordinance to impose a 6-month moratorium on major subdivisions. Can you read exactly what it said?
I can read it. It says, whereas the parish of Ascension has experienced large population growth over the past few decades, which has placed a strain on the parish infrastructure. Whereas this is need to consider the possibility of charging impact fees to pay for the infrastructure improvements related to the future growth. Whereas to allow the governing authority and parish of Ascension to consider all aspect impact fees and to consider modifications of the parish codes to address these needs. There is a need to temporarily stop the process of approving major subdivisions as defined in the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, the unincorporated portions of the East Bank of Ascension Parish. Now therefore be it ordained the Ascension Parish governing authority as of the effective date of this ordinance and through either a 6-month period from the effective date or as of the date of the governing authority of Ascension Parish adopts development impact fees, only if the date is sooner, imposes a moratorium on the acceptance, approval, and completion of pre-applications for major subdivisions and submission for acceptance of any preliminary plats for major subdivisions in the unincorporated areas of the East Bank of Ascension Parish. And if any portion of this ordinance ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full effect submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows. Councilman, you just passed impact fees.
Yes, sir. But I wanted to make sure that we read
Yes.
the ordinance.
So can I ask a legal question?
Sir?
Can I ask a legal question?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah,
Ms. Sadler.
so, Mr. Parrington, in your legal opinion, that would make this moot?
It's moot.
Thank you, sir.
Just passed impact fees.
Thank you, sir.
Do we need a motion to disband?
You make a motion to.
Mr. Dawson,
I'll make a motion that we postpone indefinitely.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Bill Dawson, second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition?
Do we need public hearing? No, because
No, we're not voting on we're not acting on the ordinance.
We're not enacting. Do we need a roll call, Madam Secretary?
No.
Passed. We'll move on to agenda item number 16.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, I've been asked by a constituent in my district to make an announcement. This Sunday, the 10th of April, Mayor Barney Arsenault, and it's his Committee on Cultural Affairs, is hosting week 2 of the Music in the Park series at Jambalaya Park from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. And it's free to the public and everybody's invited. I encourage you to come. This week, the band is High Karate. If you haven't heard them, they're a high impact, great musical group. So you're welcome to come out to the park.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. With that, I want to thank everybody for their patience. I want to thank the speakers for coming tonight, and we always welcome public input. Chair would recognize a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Ms. Cazzo, second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? We are adjourned.